Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to We Are Film, and today I'm going to be talking about how I made this DIY backdrop holder for just about 15 bucks. So let's get into it. So welcome to my studio, and as you can tell, it is pretty small. A lot of us have very little space that we can use and are usually using our home studios, whether it's an extra bedroom or something like that, kind of like what I'm doing. Now, one of the issues that I come up with this backdrop is the fact that I couldn't get to my closet back there, as well as an armoire we have right here, because I had two C-stands that were in the way and they were holding up the backdrop. And the other problem with that is I was losing two C-stands. So if I wanted to add more lighting modifiers or change a bunch of things, I didn't have the ability to do so. So I'd seen a bunch of backdrop holders online, but of course some of them were in the hundreds of dollars. Now what I did is I have a vinyl backdrop, so these are a little bit heavier and they're a little more expensive. They're about 60 bucks for a vinyl backdrop, which is great, but the problem is, again, it's a little bit heavier than a paper backdrop, so it's not just something you can like clamp up there or use something like really flimsy. Now again, these backdrop holders were hundreds of dollars, and that's not something I want to spend, but I knew that I could come up with a DIY option to do so. So I am not a carpenter or any type of really handyman by any means, but this project was super easy and really anyone can do it as long as you're able to screw something into your drywall if you have drywall or whatever wall you're looking for. As long as you can screw something in, this is going to be so easy. So one of the first things I had to problem solve was the length of the pole that I needed and the ability to make sure that the actual hooks that I was having were going to be inside of a stud. So you're going to want to make sure that you get a stud finder. Now the great thing about a stud finder is they can easily find the studs in a wall without having to do the knocking technique, although that is a great secondary. So the trick is, in my case, I have a 5x7 vinyl, so I need 5 feet of length. Now because studs are 16 inches apart, you're not going to get a perfect 5 feet. So what you need to do is figure out where you need to put your hooks that are going to allow that 5 feet to sit in between. And remember, you want a little extra wiggle room on all sides. So what I did was I found my studs and I found that I needed something roughly about 6 to 6.5 feet apart. That means I needed roughly a 7-foot pole. All right, so once we have that idea at least, let's go to Home Depot and let's get the supplies. Started with was finding some type of garden hooks. So I went to like the gardening section or where you hang tools, all that kind of section, and I found these gardening hooks. They were super cheap and they're easy because you can just manually screw them in. You don't need a tool or anything to get them in the wall, and they can hold roughly 25 pounds. So that brought me to the next thing, which was what was I going to use for my actual pole or dowel or whatever I was going to use to actually hold the backdrop on. So initially I thought I was going to go for an aluminum pole or some type of conduit piping, but the problem was that they were very heavy. So I actually thought about a wooden pole, which I thought would be just as strong and would be a lot lighter, and actually it's a lot cheaper too. So in Home Depot I found the spots where they have a lot of the wooden poles, and I actually found a 7-foot pole, which was going to be a perfect length. It could easily fit in my car, and that 7-foot pole would give me more than enough room on either side to mount wherever I needed the mountings, and it was only about $1.50 per foot. Again, I spent roughly 15 bucks, and that's it. So you want to mark up where you're going to put your hooks. Again, check for the studs and make sure that they're more than 5 feet apart, but less than 7 feet apart. So all you have to do is find your spots. Now you want to make sure they're pretty level. You can see that this isn't perfectly level, but again, I have a solid color backdrop, so even if it's a little bit off, it's not a huge deal. So all you have to do is manually turn those hooks into the wall, through the drywall, and then into the stud behind it. Now, one of the things you want to make sure you're doing is you're applying a lot of pressure while you're screwing it in, because what happens is if you don't, you're going to actually start tearing up a lot of the drywall and you won't actually stick into the stud behind it, which is going to cause a lot of problems later. So once you do either side and they're facing upward, all you have to do is put the wooden pole through your backdrop holder, slap your backdrop up there, and boom, you're good to go. All I use is about a $2 clamp and I can hook it on. I can roll it down when I want, roll it back up, again, put that clamp on, and then boom, it's good to go. And the great part is this uses just about no space. I can roll it up, it disappears, and then when I need it, I can roll it back down, and boom, there you go. Now, of course, to do multiples like some of the photography backdrops would, you'd have to actually place these further out from the wall, so you'd probably have to mount a 2x4 or something that's a little bit further out. Now, that's not the greatest look in the world, but of course, you could spray paint them white or black depending on what your wall is. So anyway, guys, that's how you make a DIY backdrop holder. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's any other DIY projects you want to see us jump into. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.